Welcome, Ray, and thank you first and foremost for taking the time to sit down and talk with me about silos. How's it going today?
It's going good, man. Waking up early lately. Feels good. Feel like the day is a lot brighter when you get up early in the morning.
First things I wanted to talk about is share the history on the band and your music background.
Um, yeah. I'll start with mine. I got a guitar when I was like 11 or 12, and I took like a few lessons and was like playing with like karaoke tracks. Like I got Blink 182 karaoke tracks, and I would just like with a karaoke microphone and would play guitar and sing to that. That was how I started playing music, and then yeah, when I was like 15 or 16, I started playing in my first band called Ray Garrison, and I recorded an EP at 16 because I started buying some like recording equipment because I just like wanted to be able to listen to myself, which is funny. But I don't know, like music kind of like got me high, so I was like kind of trying to like create my own high, I guess. And yeah, and then recorded my first four song EP at 16, and I started a band called The Media Says. We did another EP when I was 18, and then that band was around for like 2 or 3 years. We pretty much stayed regional in the like around Atlanta, but we got to open up for like all the big tours and bands that came through the South. So we opened up for pretty much everybody in the like old school Warped Tour scene. And it was awesome. And then everyone like my band broke up, everyone went to like college or like did other stuff. So I was the only one that kept doing music. And it turned into me folk. After that I was like, all right, well, keeping a band together is hard and I'll never do that again. So I became I first I started just being a producer and producing other people, and I started working with like a rapper in Atlanta named Sojourner. And then let's see. And then yeah, I made this like experimental like kind of electronic band EP, and I called it the Project Phinx, PHYNX. Um I don't think that music's out anymore. Maybe I'll upload it on YouTube after this because it's pretty cool. It was just like experimenting. Like I was smoking a lot of weed at the time, so I was just like making like just straight up experimenting with like live music and electronic stuff. And this was before I was even like really an electronic producer. It was like in the beginning. And then that turned into originally like a band thing into just like a full on electronic thing where I was like Finks as a solo artist. And then I was doing it with my friend B Dub in Atlanta at first. It was like kind of like a duo. And then I moved to LA and kept making music under that for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And then around COVID, I got kind of, I stopped going to clubs, and obviously because they're all shut down, and I kind of phased out of full on electronic music and started playing guitar and singing again. And I was making tracks with like Pretty Heartbreak and a lot of like kind of kids from that like Lil Peep world, Brennan Savage. And that kind of like segued me back into rock. It kind of got me making like emo EDM, and then like listening to a lot of like Bring Me. I was like, oh shit, like you can really mix electronic with like rock. And so then I started making like heavier and heavier stuff, and then linked up with Crazy Town. We made a song called Leeches, and then like ever since I linked up with Crazy Town, like the rock world kind of just opened up its doors for me. And then yeah, so my band came together last year, right after Thanksgiving. Um, I had kind of turned, I kind of like was doing like Ray Garrison as a rock solo artist for like 2 years, and then David, my drummer, came over. I've known David for like 8 years from like playing beach volleyball in Venice, but he was always doing like stuff that was like too cool for me. Like he was like playing like touring with like Sum 41 and Billy Ray Cyrus is their drummer. So I was like, yeah, he's like gonna be too busy for me. But yeah, he came over right after he was on tour with Grandson on the Bring Me the Horizon tour, and he was like, "Yeah, I just left the band. Let's start a new band." And I was like, "I never thought I'd do that again," but I had to think about it for like 2 weeks because I just like I was about to get signed as a solo artist, and I just built all this momentum and shit. But eventually, I came around. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then yeah, then I already had Philip, who I met from Crazy Town, who's our bass player, and then Nick had just come to one of my shows and asked to join the band. And I thought he was a dope player, so I said yeah. So like I had those guys from my solo project come in, and then David brought Ramon, who was also playing with Grandson. Then we made Silos. That was a long answer.
Do you miss Warped Tour?
Yeah, but there's still like, I mean, I missed the whole scene from that day because like it changed after 2008. Like before, leading up to 2008, people were just always going to shows, buying tickets, buying merch. Like for us in Atlanta to sell over 100 tickets was like easy. And then 2008 happened, and like I felt like everything just like was cut in half. You know, just like people were not going out as much, not buying as much, and then I don't think the scene ever recovered after that, really.
Yeah, I don't think it has either. There's
Yeah, I mean,
been a few. There's been a few tribute bands, but that's about it.
yeah. Except for like
It
kind of
seems.
recently, I think with like when we were young, and I think like Machine Gun Kelly woke up the rock scene and introduced a lot of new kids, and then those kids go on and find like bands like Bring Me the Horizon, who are like truly reinventing the wheel, for like the modern era of rock music, and a lot of other bands, but I think they're like does like should get the credit for like, I don't know, to me being like really capturing what was good about the golden era, and then like what's good about music now. They like take the combination of the two really well.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about the band's new upcoming debut full-length album.
Yeah.
How did the writing process work for this, and did the lyrics come first or the music?
um both happened. Every song on the album except for Lighthouse was written post the beginning of Silos. So like, meaning we started Silos last Thanksgiving. All the songs were written in December until now, except for Lighthouse. Lighthouse was a song I wrote with my friend Mike Taylor like 2 or 3 years ago. Um, and it was just a really good song. So I like was saving it for the right time. And everyone involved on our team thought we should do it for Silos. So we did. But all the other songs, most of them started with a track, since like I can sit and make tracks and beats all day. So like they kind of started off with like either me or some of the guys over just being like, like how, like what kind of like electronic music do I like? And then like how can we mix rock in with that? And like that was how like the first many demos were born. And then I would write, and then I would just listen to it over and over and over, and then usually get a melody first, and then I would try to put words for it. Sometimes, usually when I sing like a melody idea, some words come out, and they kind of a lot like many of them stay. And I like the like Max Martin approach, where you like kind of keep the same phonetics as like whatever your like scratch melody was. Like if you sing something like a but a do, like keeping that high note as a ooh instead of changing it to like a e or a sound. Like so I try to kind of stay true to the original idea and kind of like formulate it around that. But then there's like songs like Gaslight, which is not out, which that was lyrics first. Cause like something happened and I'm like, all right, I want to write a song about this. And I came up with the hook right before we had a writing session. I wrote the whole chorus and recorded it in a voice memo, and then put that in Ableton the next day and lined it up with a click, and then we wrote to that.
How did the creative process work from there?
From where?
From where you started with the lyrics and the music, how did the creative process start?
Um, I mean, so with like Gaslight, that was the only one we started with the top line or the vocals first. So, and it was just the chorus. So then that was we made a few songs with Kevin, who is also the producer of the Grandson hits. So that was a session we did with him, and I just kept the chorus a cappella that I had recorded the night before looping, and then he started strumming guitar and playing chords, and then we kind of picked the right chords that we liked the most, and then as soon as I get the chords down, then I can, start making the track. I started adding like synths and basses, and then at the same time, when I'm usually kind of programming the electronic parts, he's over there kind of like writing some riffs. So then he came. No one's heard the song yet, but at some point the song will be out and people will hear this. So he wrote the guitar lick on it, which is really cool. It kind of reminds me of like an Internet Money like vibe. But yeah, but the other songs like if that we have out, like If I Fall, that one like I pretty much made the entire track first, the whole track, and then wrote to it the lyrics like that night or like in the next couple days. And then November was very similar. November I did with the band, and Mind Eraser, that was a cool one. We had our first rehearsal with David. It was just me, David, and Nick. And Nick was on guitar. I brought a synth. David was on drums, and we kind of mapped out the instruments of it and recorded it on an iPhone. And again, I just put that in Ableton, lined it up with a click, and then produced around it. But we changed a lot from that because it used to not have a chord progression in the verse, and I hate writing to like one note parts, or at least I did at the time.
You recently released a single, Lighthouse. What is that song about?
Um, that song is about finding love after um well, for me it was just like I just kind of like stopped doing drugs and alcohol and cleaned up my life a little bit, and I met this person like right at the same time, and they really helped like me, I don't know, get get through it. And I was in love
Why did you choose that song as a single?
because Howard said to do it. Howard Benson. He's like you know who Howard is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned that anything Howard says you just do. So he liked it. He wanted to make it a single. So we did.
What is the next single that fans can expect besides the debut EP album coming out
When's this gonna air?
sometime this week?
Well, the next single is gonna most likely be the last month of January. And I don't oh we have a feature for it. It's a really awesome feature. Um they've agreed to do it, but we haven't recorded it yet because we just talked about it like 2 days ago. So I don't know if I should say who, but it's a pretty sick band, and I just worked with them recently in the studio. So yeah, anyone listening could probably figure it out if they follow me. Um. So yeah, that one's called "All My Life," and it's really cool. It's kind of like got it's kind of like kind of got like a trap metal vibe, but it also has like live drums, but it has like 808 bass throughout most of the song, and has like 808 drums with live drums and metal guitar riffs, and it's a really cool song. Back on the heavier side.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Lighthouse is the lightest song on our album. So it's not gonna get any it's not gonna get that light. That was a one and done.
Being among the next generation of bands in the rock and hard rock community, what do you think of your contemporaries? In other words, what are some of the other up and coming bands out there that really stand out to you and why?
I mean, I don't know any like I don't know many up and coming bands. Um I mean, obviously like for us contemporaries, like Bring Me is a huge inspiration and one of my favorites. This morning I was listening to Architects. I like their music. I like anything produced by Zach Cervini. I'm dying to work with him. Silos needs to work with him because he's my favorite producer out right now. So, Zach Cervini, if you hear this, let's fucking work, dude. I'm a big fan. Um, but yeah, I mean, we just played a show with Orgy. I'm gonna be in the studio with them in a couple days, writing, maybe producing some stuff for them. I was just in the studio with Escape the Fate, um, working on some stuff with them, and I love those guys. Um, let's see if any other modern bands. I like Kid Brunswick a lot. That's a good one. He's kind of up and
Is
coming.
good.
He's really good. Um, yeah, he's a good one. And then like From Ashes to New, I like them a lot. I've been talking with them a little bit back and forth. You know, we might see something in the future. We'll see. But those guys are cool. I love their music. And who else? I'm looking on my Spotify. Bad Omens are great. Um, yeah, Caskets is cool. But yeah, I think the most like up and coming artist to look out for would definitely be Kid Brunswick.
Yeah, he's good. I found him on SoundCloud.
Oh, nice. How long ago?
When he dropped a single below.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I found him on Spotify. Um, the song "Stained," which is still my favorite by him. You know that one?
No, I haven't heard that one yet.
I listen to that one. That one's the best. Our next single is kind of like that because he pretty much only uses trap drums with like 808s, and ours is like more in that. Our next one is more in that category, but it still has like the band and live drums on it.
On a similar note, what are some of the established acts that have influenced you and continue to influence you?
Yeah, I guess I kind of answered more of that one. But yeah, I mean, top recently would be Bring Me. In the early days, it was Blink, Eminem, and Good Charlotte. My dogs. Um, I was really into like pop punk when I was younger, and I got really into metal more in the last few years, which is like opposite. I feel like a lot of people are into like metal and now make like country music, which is funny. But like I don't know, I've tend to get heavier over life. Hi, Migo. Um, yeah. So and then like yeah, like Bad Omens, I like them a lot. Motionless in White. Um, yeah, that kind of stuff. 3 Days Grace. I mean, they're also Neil, the drummer, also co-owns my label with Howard. So, and I got to go sing a song with them at the Hollywood Palladium in October, which was really sick. Um, and I got to meet all of them and hang out. So, yeah, they're a big influence. Um, yeah, anything good and heavy is inspiring. And then like when I like want to take a break from listening to like heavy music, I listen to a lot of the 1975.
They're good.
Yeah, it's like my chill out music. I used to listen to a lot of EDM. I don't really listen to a lot anymore.
It's changed.
Yeah, I don't even know who like the new artists are. I don't, like,
I can't figure it out either because it's all the same mainstream or they're crossing over to K-pop or they're crossing over to pop now, and it's hard to tell now.
yeah, yeah. We're trying to find a remixer for Lighthouse, but it's since it's such like a like pop record, it's like kind of it's hard to find the right fit for it. Because I know a lot of underground DJs, but I'm not even gonna ask them to remix it because it doesn't make sense to. Like
Yeah,
finding for Insatiable is easy because I know a lot of guys that do like underground and like drum and bass and like heavier stuff. But we're working on it. There'll be a Lighthouse remix at some point.
that's a good thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
I wanted to change gears for a moment here. You
Uh-huh.
guys being a relatively young new band, you recently got to perform at the famed Whiskey A Go on the 1st of December. It sounds like it was a great turnout and you guys had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was a packed house. It like, but LA has a really cool like kind of like alternative rock scene. There's these parties called Dirty Mondays, which we played our first show at our CD release, our EP release show on September 1st. And I go to Dirty Mondays all the time. And like, there's this whole like scene of people that like is just, it's really cool. Like, I know almost all of them now. And like, they were all at the show. And it's just, LA has a really cool alternative scene, um, growing and it's pretty active. So, um, yeah, it's cool. It's a good time, I feel like, in LA for the kind of music we're doing because there's like a really cool scene for it right now. So yeah, the show was great. I think it was our best show yet. Um yeah, I mean we had so much fun. And Orgy is awesome and I love playing with them.
Yeah, so I've been listening to a little bit of them. They've been pretty good.
Yeah, it's really fun live. They have a really cool fan base too.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Recently, you played your Lighthouse single video feat Crazy Town at Brat Queer event. How was that experience in supporting the LGBTQ community?
Um what was the you said Crazy Town and what?
It was at Brat Queer event.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was really cool. Yeah, they stopped the club for a minute and like debuted the song. Um, my friend Mike is very active in that scene and asked us to come, and I was like, hell yeah! And it was like an alternative night, and everyone was all dressed up and like looking great, and it was awesome. Everyone seemed to enjoy it and was really happy, and it was a cool debut of our video for sure.
What did it mean for you to be able to play such an historic venue, especially at this stage in the band's life?
The whiskey.
Yes.
It well, it was my fifth time playing there, but first time as Silos, and I love that venue. Um, it sounds good. It's big, but and then you can remember, like knowing that's like where like the Doors like came up is awesome, and it hasn't like, I mean, I wasn't around in the 60s and 70s, obviously, but I don't think it's changed too much, like as far as the layout goes. So like being in there, it just feels kind of like a time capsule, and it felt awesome playing there.
Yeah, a lot of big bands have played there.
Hmm.
Even I've got friends in you might know the band Bubble Flex and Lonely Ones, maybe.
I don't know actually.
They're up and coming rock band. They were with Bubble Flex and they switched over to Lonely Ones, a new band, because they lost some members. And they played there too, and they had fun too. And they told, and it was like it's a time capsule.
Yeah, exactly. I love places like that. And then you have the Rainbow Bar and Grill right next door, where like John Lennon and Ringo Starr like had their Vampires of Hollywood like little secret club, and their names are like painted upstairs, and the history of those places is so cool. I love the Rainbow
Yeah,
Rooms.
it's history that you'll never forget either.
Exactly. There's always some characters out at the Rainbow Room too.
Oh yeah. What are some of the dream venues that you plan to play at?
I would love Silos to play at the Hollywood Palladium after playing there 3 Days Grace. That'd be a good one. Um, I don't know if the Hollywood Bowl does like heavier music, but that would definitely be a goal to play there. Uh, yeah, and then like Coachella, obviously, Coachella main stage.
What was it like when you got signed to judge and jury?
That was like a dream come true because I've been a fan of Howard for like as long as I can remember, and we built a really cool relationship where like whenever he calls me, we end up talking on the phone for like an hour just about life and being whenever I record I did all the vocals at his house. So he has a studio in Woodland Hills where Mike kind of like, at least for this record, Mike, his engineer Mike Plotnikoff, um records like he recorded like all the band parts, and then I would go to Howard's house by myself and just do vocals with him and his engineer Hatch, who does vocals. And I always have the best time over there. Like we end up working half of the session, and then the other half we just talk about life. I always learn so much from him. He always like shows me the recent place he traveled, tells me the history of it, and shows me pictures, and it's like I get like a history lesson when I'm there every time, and just talk about life and learn a lot. He's such a smart, brilliant guy, and like I just love talking to him because like I always learn so much, and we always have really good conversations. So it's been pretty cool. Like in the beginning, I was like pinching myself because I'm like, am I really about to make a record with Howard Benson? And I almost couldn't believe it, and then we did, and it's turned out great.
Does Silo have any shows or tours planned for next year?
So we got a booking agent on board, who I think is primarily is booking us in Canada, and then our manager Brandon Friesen is working on getting us international booking agent and a U.S. one. So right now, the only show we have planned is December 28th at Madame Siams in Hollywood. It's at this Sad Boys club thing. It's gonna be a short, like 20-minute set because there's a lot of bands. And then yeah, I we don't have a tour booked at the moment, but Brandon is saying that we will probably have one around like March, April.
That's a good thing to have one.
Hmm. I think yeah. Once we start touring, we probably won't stop for a while.
Yeah, you'll stay busy with that.
Yeah, I mean, like we turned our garage here at the house into a rehearsal space, so we rehearse like usually like twice a week, and we have been for the last almost year now. So, we're ready. We have our whole like in ears rig built, and yeah, we're ready to hit the road for sure.
Where can fans find you at on social media?
Our social media handles on almost all the platforms is at Silos Band. The only one that's different is Twitter. It's Silos_band. And then you can find me at Ray Garrison everywhere. On TikTok, it's I am Ray Garrison. Um, yeah.
Thanks, Ray, for taking the time to chat with Mayhem Rockstar Magazine. And best of luck with the new album and future endeavors of Silos.
Thanks, man. Maybe we'll do this again after the album drops.
We should.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
No problem.